Hey. Welcome to our first ever in the history of the world, our first Sunday night live. Let's give it up for Steph Gramling! You were out making money.
I was making money. And you were forgetting to.
I was probably trying to start a church.
Yeah, probably so. I can't remember for sure what you were doing, but it wasn't like anything. Like you could have gone to the bank and deposited the check.
What is that? Iron Man. Incorrect. Jaws?
Tyler Gramling with Jaws.
I see it. I see it. You guys are producers. You know we're giving away a prize, and we don't have a drum roll?
I mean, we have...
Hey, we're a little late, but hey, it wouldn't be a real live stream if we weren't just a little bit late, but we are glad you are here on this beautiful Sunday evening. It's what we call SNL, or Sunday Night Live. We are live streaming, and here's what that means, and here's why we're doing that. Now, we could pre-record it, but then we couldn't interact with you. So I would love for you to get on the chat, because they're going to put it right up here on my screen in just a moment so I can see it, and we're going to interact a little bit, because our ultimate goal over time is to build a community. And we do this a couple of times every week. We do it Sunday at 11:30 before our broadcast. We moved our broadcast from TV to online because ultimately we'll have an opportunity for a bigger audience. But before we go into the broadcast, we actually spend, 3-5 minutes just interacting. So if you'd like to chat on a Sunday morning at 11:30 with me or one of the pastors. Normally it's me, but be there. And then Sunday night at 6, we have a great time right here. And again, we'll talk about some serious stuff along the way, but we have a lot of fun. And if you have a question, just on Rumble or YouTube. And so I can welcome Maddie Fernandez, whose husband is a pastor and is one of our contests a little bit later, as well as Giselle and Matt and Gabby and Pastor Danny and Iris and Big DD Matt.
Hey.
Big DD Matt. That's awesome. And then Jessica as... Why are you guys laughing at me?
No, I just wonder what the DD stands for.
Right. Anyways, hey, something happened this week that I need your help with. We've been trying. The reason we're running late is we're trying to get a video. And we've got a video on Android. But Android doesn't like to send full videos with all the pixels or whatever. And so we're having a hard time. But we had an alligator. We've often had an alligator out in the pond in our south parking lot, but we actually had one up close to the building in the canal. I don't know whether you know this or not, depending on where you're watching from, but Fort Lauderdale is known as the Little Venice. Did you guys know that?
I did not. No. Is this real? Or
No, it is real. Yeah, it's known as the Little Venice. And why is it known as the Little Venice?
It's not as big as Big Venice.
That's exactly. Because it's got canals. Have you ever been on the water taxi?
In Venice?
No.
Big Venice or Little Venice?
Little Venice.
In Little Venice. I've been to Venice. I wasn't too impressed. I'll be honest. It was dirty. Unless you're from Venice, and it was it's one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. We do have a studio audience this week.
Woo! Come on, look at him.
Look at that. Wow.
Come on.
It only took a little guilt.
Well,
last
and
week.
like as we said last week, there's so many over here. I know y'all can't see them, but right
like
here,
10 more people over
there's,
there.
I mean, thousands. Thousands.
Well, hundreds.
No, thousands.
Thousands.
You don't see them back there?
In the overflow.
They're in the
They have a
overflow.
tent. Yeah, there's a tent across the street.
So
Watch
there's still room for you if you'd like to be a part of our studio audience. Email me at troy@troygramling.com. All right. So anyways, if you have video of the alligator, we're trying to get video so we can show you guys. I saw the video, but I can't share it, and it just feels like you should see it. You can email one of our producers. You want to put yourself on the screen there, producer, so they know exactly who they're videoing to?
Yes, you can email Carson.Gramling, not Grambling, Gramling at potentialchurch.com.
That's GRAMLING.
But only if you have the video. Don't email me otherwise, please. Just for the video.
Maybe they want to talk to you.
Absolutely. I'm here all the time.
All right. Hey, if you have a question, put it in the chat on Rumble or YouTube, and we will do our best to get to it. We might not have the answer, but our goal is to find the answer over time for sure. Now, we have a book giveaway. Last week, if you were here, we gave away a John Maxwell Leadership Bible, $80 value.
Goodness.
Hey, we don't spare any expense here.
Nope.
Amen.
And it was signed.
I was about to say, it's more than $80.
Yes, it was signed. You know what? We've got the winner of that here, actually.
Ew.
Our camera's a little...
You can kind of see him.
Camera's a little dark.
Yeah.
Yes. Anyway, we have the winner here, and not only is he the winner of the John Maxwell Bible and book, but what else do we know about this man?
He's a Swiftie.
Yep.
True facts.
He is a Swiftie. But this week we had Sean McDowell, Dr. Sean McDowell here, and he's an apologist. He did an incredible job. And if you weren't able to be here, I encourage you to check it out on YouTube. He talked about, can we trust the Bible and why we can trust the Bible. And I've got 2 books here. It's called Evidence for Jesus. It was written by him and his father. His father's an icon in this field. And I just want to tell you, it's a really cool book. It's not a long book, but it answers a lot of questions. Why the resurrection of Jesus matters. Is there evidence for the resurrection? Is Jesus a copycat savior? How Jesus fulfilled the Old Testament? So it answers a lot of the questions you may have or you have heard, and they're signed by Dr. Sean McDowell. It was an honor to have him, and we would love to give this book away. It is, according to the back of the book, a $20 giveaway plus the signature. So it's a real cool piece to have. Here's how you win it. Is you have to invite somebody. They have to show up in the chat. And Larry Duncan III, if they show up in the chat, then just all they have to do is tell them who sent them. And we're going to do 2 because we want our guest tonight as well as the one who invites our guest to win these. Okay? So somewhere towards the end of the show, we're going to give these away. And all you got to do is invite somebody to show up. And when they get in the chat on Rumble or YouTube, just say who it was that invited them to be there. And then they have to be in the chat when we draw. That's the only rules we really have, okay? Because it's our heart's desire to give these away. We'll mail them. We'll do whatever we need to do to get them to you this week. We are so glad that you are here.
Now, really quick, we actually did receive the video, I think.
Okay.
So I cannot test it until I pull it up. Oh, yes.
Oh, it's
okay. Okay, there we go. Hold
All right.
on, hold on. Let me, I can do this.
All right, so we're going to see the video.
Okay.
Hold it now. Let me tell you where this is. This is not too far outside the door.
Absolutely.
To the
Our main auditorium.
east side of the main auditorium.
One moment you're worshiping God, the next you're fighting off for your life against an alligator.
But let's not scare people.
Wow.
It's a good video of a bush.
I think Stanley recorded this.
All right, we're going to get to see it right there. That is our parking lot. How big is that? 6?
7 feet is what I heard.
7 feet. Is that you and Pastor Nick wrangling that alligator there?
That it is.
It is.
That's Pastor Carson in the orange T-shirt.
Good job, guys.
Right there.
That's a big alligator. That is a big
It's
alligator. And you know, it's serious. When Steph and I hadn't been here very long, and there was a canal by where we used to live, and there was a young lady actually, they were out walking. She sat down by the canal, and the alligator attacked her. Wow. And so those things do happen. They don't happen very often, but they do happen. And that was pretty unique to see an alligator that close to our facility. But anyways, where do you go from there?
I know. I know. Woman brutally attacked, murdered. So anyways, back to the live show.
Oh, me. So what we're going to do, we're going to make this just real smooth transition to Tea with PT. All right, so what we like to do is we like to look at some of the Google Trends and give, kind of a pastor reacts to what's going on in our world. And this is always hard, but workers misjudge their salary compared to others completely. It's a widespread perception that people earn more in other sectors, with one clear exception. The consequences for actual salaries and entire sectors of the economy are huge. Interestingly, there are probably a few standard economic models according to which employees are well aware of what their earning potential would look like if they moved to another company or even another industry. Research from MIT, the University of California, Berkeley, and the University of, how do you say that? Cologne. That's how you say it, right? Has put this notion to the test with a comprehensive survey and hard numbers. Even though this is a study relating to the German labor market, the results should also be transferable to other countries, according to the authors. The average perception was that people earn 10% more in other sectors, regardless of the sector they're moving from. However, the actual salary increase when switching is only 1%.
Interesting.
Wow.
I think that's true. I mean, I can tell you as someone who's in the ministry, I've been in ministry for a long time, and so many times people assume that people doing the same thing in other places are making a lot more money than they are. You know why? You know why I think this is true? I think it's true because people lie about how much money they make.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, you know, you're talking to somebody and you just kind of throw out a round number, or you're comparing, you know, net versus gross, those kind of things. So, what do y'all think?
I agree. I agree.
And that causes a lot of problems. It causes a lot of difficulties and a lot of bad decisions. Because I think a lot of people move sometimes, you know, just driven out of the idea that not only are they going to make more money, but they're going to have, you know, this is going to be better and this is going to be better. And sometimes that's true, right? There are bad places in which to work. Maybe there are selfish employers. But a lot of times, like the old saying goes, and that's what this proves, the grass is not greener on the other side of the fence. And I think that happens a lot. And it's sad when it does, especially if you leave poorly. So don't burn your bridges, because you might find out the grass was greener where you were than where you go. Pretty cool. That's pretty interesting. It's nice to have the facts.
Yep. I got
What's the
another
next
one
one you
here
got?
for you.
All right.
One that I thought you might find a little interesting. I know you're a bit of a fan of Jay Leno's Garage,
Yes.
and he just recently had looked at a new car.
A 1930s Rolls-Royce Phantom. The modern Rolls-Royce Phantom is the automaker's flagship luxury car, in part because of the pedigree built by the predecessors, like the 1930 model featured on the episode of Jay Leno's Garage. What's the nicest car? Tell me in the chat, what's the nicest car you've ever been in? What's the nicest car you've never been in? Or how about this? Or tell me what's the dream car, not to own, but just to drive or to ride in. For me, the nicest car I've ever been in, I don't think I've ever been in a Rolls Royce. I've been in the Bentley before. My dream, not dream car, but I would love to drive a Lamborghini.
You're not really, though, a fast driver. Like
No.
what? You'd go the speed limit.
No, but I'm cool.
Oh,
There
there we go.
Yeah.
Throw on some shades, play some music.
Did you hear what Dr. Sean McDowell said on Saturday night?
I'm sure I did.
That you were the
I
best
did.
dressed.
I don't. Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That is right.
Did he say best dressed or did he say the most cool?
Now he did say that about Pastor Tyler. This
As well,
today,
the other two
so-
services. Yeah.
Well, he's my son. I taught him everything. he knows.
Amen. That's good.
Everything knows. So, in the chat, what's the nicest car?
e-tron GT.
Cohen has been in a Rolls Royce. Jessica's been in a Ferrari. Jessica's here in the studio audience.
Jess has never been in Ferrari. Liar.
Hey, we did a video one time, and I had to drive a Ferrari, and we had a guy here who sold Ferraris. It was a $500,000 car. Oh my God! I had only been in South Florida for a couple of years, and in Paragould, I had never seen a Ferrari except for on TV. And so now I'm driving this car, and the dealer, the dealership, the salesman.
That was a weird way to say that.
I'm tired. Knelt down in the car there beside me, and I drove it around the corner and everything. But I was afraid to make that one go fast.
I hear you. If you crash, like I don't have enough kidneys to sell if I were to wreck that car.
$500,000. That's a lot of money. I did the Bentley that I rode in was all white, and let's just say it's hard to ride an all white leather vehicle and not get it dirty.
Yeah.
When you leave,
Yep.
and so.
Pastor Amber actually says a limo is the nicest car she's ever been in.
That's pretty. What kind though? That's the question. What kind of limo was it? Was it Cadillac? Was it a Lincoln? Was it
Hummer?
A Hummer?
Hummer limos.
I always wanted a Hummer, and then I rode in one, and I realized how small they are. They're giant on the outside, but I rode in the back seat.
Which Hummer did you?
The big
H3?
one.
Oh, really?
No, not an H3. Come on, that's not a Hummer.
No, it's
how
also
about
a
the new
woman's
one, the
car.
electric one?
Yeah. The Hummer EV.
Wow, that's not selling. All right, let's go to the last one here. All right, maternal mortality.
Morality.
Yes. in U.S. overestimated by the CDC, new study shows. Well, let's read and see what it says. It says the number of maternal deaths previously reported by the CDC may be inaccurately rising, a study recently revealed. Flawed or imperfect record keeping could be the culprit of what seems to be. That's terrible. That's terrible. The CDC, but is it, I don't know if it's political to say, but it's not surprising. After COVID, right? It seems like they never had the right numbers or the right ideas, and yet it's just, we count on you, CDC. I don't know who works for the CDC, but get your numbers right. It's important.
It is. It really is.
Right? It's important. We're counting
really
on
is.
them. Everybody makes decisions based on what they come out with. So let's just leave that. Okay. Let's move on. I do want to pray for you before we leave here in a few moments, but I wanted to play you Easter.
We have quite a bit of laughter from the audience.
Studio audience. I want to play a video of what's going on Easter. Let's watch this.
Good afternoon. Thank you for calling Potential Church. This is Brandon speaking. How may I help you? Absolutely. How are you? Yep, I'm having a fantastic day. Go ahead, put it right there. Yep, we do have service times for Good Friday and Easter. We absolutely do. What happened? Oh, hold on. Absolutely. Thank you for calling us. Talk to you later. Bye-bye. Hey. Gabby. Bye-bye. What's up?
Hey, guess what I just heard?
What's up?
That was a premature clap. The audience got too excited for it.
You know what that applause for was? It was for Brandon's acting.
I got to be honest with you. During the filming of that video, he was quite the diva.
That he was.
He was quite the diva.
Perfectionist.
Talent is what you're supposed to call it.
Talent. He was. Well, he wasn't quite the talent. He was quite the diva.
I'm confused by that video, because is that video saying that basically we have a lot of gossip people at the church? Is that what that's saying?
No, that is exactly what it was saying.
I don't. But we do have a secret, and we're going to celebrate that secret on Easter. Easter is March the 31st. It's a Sunday night, 6 o'clock, because we're going to start right on time, right? And we're going to celebrate that in a big way, that secret. So you want to tune in for that. Now, one of the things we're going to, let me remind you, don't forget, we are giving these away, and all you got to do is invite somebody, and then in the chat, tell them to tell who invited them. And we will draw from the winners at the end of the show here in just a few moments, and we will send that to you this week for sure. In a few moments, one of the things I want to talk about a little bit later tonight, Steph and I were talking yesterday, because Steph and I did the welcome, and I called her a leprechaun. And,
That's good.
and we've had this discussion a lot, because Steph tries to help me be better. I'm a better person because of my beloved. But the difference between, when it comes to a sense of humor between men and women. So I want to talk about that.
Women don't have one?
Nah.
Or is that... That's what you were saying?
No.
That's what you said earlier before we
No,
went
I
on.
don't say stuff like that anymore. My wife has told me that, no. That's not
Nice to say. Yeah.
You don't say stuff like, Jessica, you need to take him out, teach him a little better. And I want to talk about one of the questions I asked, because we did a podcast that will drop next month sometime with Dr. Sean and about criticism, and I want to talk about that a little bit as well. But don't forget, in the chat, if you got a question about any of those kind of things, or really about anything, because our goal is over time is to build a sense of community and to hang out for a few moments on Sunday as we as we wind down and get ready to go into Monday, start of a new week. It's exciting, isn't it? Think about not what has happened, but what could happen this week. Have you ever thought about that? I mean, think about it. You don't know what you're going to get in the mailbox. And negative people tend to look and think what bad things could happen. You know, I'm going to get a hate letter. I'm going to get a letter from the IRS, or I'm going to get a bill I wasn't expecting. But just think about the awesome things that have come through the mailbox at times. A card, a letter, a check, an opportunity. I remember when I was in high school, I would get these colleges, right? They would write letters. You know, they start kind of when you're a sophomore, and then you get more when you're a junior, and then more when you're a senior as far as recruiting. They all came in the mailbox because back in the day. And you think, what might happen this week in the mailbox for you? Or on email? Or a comment? Or who might show up at your door? Or what might happen at work? I mean, there's so many things that we don't know that could happen this week that could radically impact our life in a positive way. Could be the encouragement that we need, could be the prayer that we've been praying for. I mean, you think about it, it's really, we can go to bed tonight with a real sense of excitement of what God's going to do this week. And I just want to encourage you to do that. You know, don't go to bed with a sense of dread. I know tomorrow's Monday and you got to go to work. But again, just think about the opportunity. Even if you don't enjoy your job, maybe tomorrow's the day when you get an opportunity to show your stuff, or you get the promotion, or you get a new job opportunity, or maybe you meet somebody, maybe you're single, and next week's going to be the day. Because that day always happens. I remember the first time I saw Steph was at Miss Greene County. She was in a pageant.
Greene County Tech.
No.
Greene,
It was Greene County Fair.
oh, but Greene County Tech
It's just
is
a
something.
school. It's a school in Greene County.
The only school in Greene County.
No, there's multiple schools in Greene County. But anyways, you're interrupting my story.
I apologize. You looked at me like you wanted input.
No, well, I was just telling you, it's your mom. How I Met Your Mom. You're not interested in How I Met Your Mom?
No, I am. Very.
I was sitting in the bleachers, and you know, I mean, I was senior in high school, and it was a beauty pageant, so of course I was there, and she came out and she kind of, you know, she did her thing, and I told the person beside me, I said, I want to meet her, and
Were you there competing?
no, I was not. I was competing for her affection.
Oh, there we go.
And guess
Preach.
what? Guess what? I won.
That you did.
I won. But anyways, I did meet her because in our little town we used to drive. It was called, what was it? Cruising. And we'd drive in circles. Just drive in circles. And the car I was driving was my brother's, and it broke down.
Oh, I bet that looked cool.
It did. But guess who pulled over and gave me a ride? Stephanie Michelle Gramling.
Me, mama.
That's the first time I met her. I had never talked to her to that moment. Her and her sister Mitzi pulled over and gave me a ride. And I asked her out, and she said no. But did I give up? So here's the thing. To get back to what I was saying, this could be the week your car breaks down.
I hope not.
No. And it could be a good thing, right? I mean, think about how, you know, how things work out, how God can take any situation and do something pretty incredible. Because I was amazingly frustrated and embarrassed. And yet, it changed my life forever and created someone like you, Carson.
Amen. Hallelujah.
So anyways, this is it's going to be a good week. It's going to be a good week. And even if your car breaks down or you get a flat tire, oh, speaking of that, you know what I did this week?
You got a flat tire.
No, I had an accident.
Oh gosh.
Which is it's really frustrating for me because I always give Stephanie a hard time for trying to tell me how to drive. Because she's always, it's one thing, it's really the only thing that we ever have disagreement about. So this week, really, it's Amber's fault.
Oh, I'm sure it was. I'm sure it was.
I was just trying to be a nice guy. Our bathroom is totally destroyed. South Florida has a lot of mold, so we got all this mold. And they came in and they were just going to, the mirror broke. Started with just our mirror breaking. They come in to replace the mirror, and when they do, they find mold. Then they find corroded pipes. Then they tear out every wall in our bathroom. They tear out the floor in our bathroom. They tear out the shower in our bathroom. They tear out everything in our bathroom. You're supposed to go, oh, that's sad, man.
Rough.
It is. It's
We'll pray for
terrible.
you.
So we have people at the house trying to fix this. And Pastor Amber and some of the ladies went to a conference and took the big vehicle to go. And so she asked me if I would return it. And I backed it up. She was standing there. Tyler was standing there. Lion was standing there. The guy that owns the vehicle was standing there. Did any of them say anything?
Not a word.
No, not a word until crunch. Then they all looked at me horrified when just 2 seconds later they could have saved me a lot of money. And so now Stephanie's going to hold that over my head.
Yep. She will.
I know that's going to happen. But anyways, it's going to be a good week. It's going to be a good week.
Amen.
It's going to be a good week. All right. Hey, we want to play a game real quick. It's called Wordle.
Yeah.
And we got a studio audience that thinks they are going to do well at this. I'm not very good at this. I think Bailey Jade gave us the answer last time, and she happens to be in the studio audience
She
today.
cheated.
Yeah.
She looked it up.
She did it already.
All right. So I'm supposed to give you some letters, right?
A word.
You're giving me a word.
Oh,
Ideally.
give me-
So those letters need to make up a word.
Okay. Need to make up a word. That's okay.
You got a couple people in the chat.
All right. You guys want to help me out? All right. Share. Thank you. All right. So the green means it's the right letter in the right spot.
Yep.
So it's
Oh, hey, hold that S.
S-K. No.
Couple more people in the chat giving you some.
Dream.
Dream on.
Let's see. Help me out there in the chat. All right, let's try. I like that. I like storm
Storm.
because we live in South Florida. Come on, baby.
Oh.
Yes, I won.
No, you didn't.
Nope.
But you're close. It does have,
Have a T. Oh, so.
All right, they're yelling at me from the studio audience, so I'm going to wait, let the chat catch up. There's a little bit of delay here. We haven't figured out
seeing
why.
In the chat, I'm seeing sport. I'm seeing snort.
Story as well.
We've got some unsaved people in the chat room.
All right, all right. I'm going to go because I like to consider myself an incredible athlete.
Yes. You're going to go with sport.
I'm going to go with sport. Thank you, Eric.
Oh. Oh. So.
I think you should keep fighting it.
I refuse to use that word.
Oh.
That's the. What do you guys think? The live studio audience thinks it's
Crunch.
Let's see who said it.
I think Francine doesn't know how this game works.
Thank you, Francine.
We do
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you for participating. We do appreciate that. Let's see who has actually said it. So we got Eric Blanco said snort. We've got Big DD Matt.
Yeah, he spelled snort with two T's.
All right. And we've got Dakota. All right, let's try it. I hope it's not it. That's a.
Where's the R? Okay,
Up
here we
top.
go. Ooh, ooh.
Look at that.
Come on.
Snort.
Wow.
Just some drug using.
I won
delinquents.
again. I've won every week that we've played this game.
Good job.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. And you too can be a part of that studio audience. Troy at troygramling.com, wherever you might be watching from in the world. Don't forget, we're going to be announcing the winners real soon. All right. So if you will invite somebody and they will tell us who it was that invited them, have some courage and invite some folks. And if they show up, you could win these. I want to show you, we were going to do this thing, and we're going to do it, just not tonight, that we called Pastors in the Playground. We kind of, well, you want to, do we still have the video?
No.
Okay. So we were going to do
I said that aggressively. I apologize.
Course. We're going to do a little.
Yelled at him.
I did. I apologize.
We're going to do a little, course out in the playground and then time it. And I thought, you know what? Pastors don't like to do physical stuff. So let's test driving skills.
And we did just that.
So we did. Let's pull up our drivers. I think we have them with us on YouTube. No, no,
Oh,
the video
okay.
yet.
You
I
want
to
you
pull
want
up the
I
drivers
got you.
yet.
Got you. They are here somewhere.
We have the drivers on Zoom with us. And so our production team.
Yep, they're here. They are here. Oh, here we go. Okay.
All right, he found them. All right, you can see, there we go. We have Pastor Tyler, Pastor Matt, and Pastor Danny. Pastor, we'll start with you up there in the right left-hand corner there, Pastor Tyler. Do you consider yourself a good driver? How many tickets? Okay, how many? Well, okay.
Give me 1 second. They are not hearing him. So let me.
Oh, just a second, Pastor Tyler. They're not hearing you. Do you see them? Do y'all see our three pastors on Zoom?
They do see him. All right. They should be hearing them now. I hope. I hope.
All right. Pastor Tyler, tell us once again, do you consider yourself a good driver? Well, how many tickets? How many tickets? What for? Oh. Do you drive fast?
Pastor Troy, they don't hear him.
Oh, they still don't hear him. Tyler, you and I are having a conversation nobody hears. So we will come back. They hear me, I guess. So we were going to come back to our three pastors. And while we fix our technical difficulties with them, let's watch the video. Can we do that?
Yes, we can.
Pastors don't like to exercise, I discovered. So instead of pastors in the playground, it's pastors on the parking lot. Pastor Matt's dragging a cone. So anyways, the fastest time wins, but it's 15-second penalty for every cone they hit. We shall see how it goes. All right, can you pause it there for just a second? As you can see, the course starts there. There's several cones. They kind of got to go around, and they circle around the island. Then they have to parallel park. Then they have to get as close as they can to the last cone. And if they get within 5 inches, they take 5 seconds off their time for every inch within 5 inches. And they have to parallel park. At any cone they hit, cost them 15 seconds. So let's continue the video.
I would be amazed if he does.
Ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1.
They all look pretty confident. Pastor Matt. Oh, squealed the tires. Look at the concentration on that face.
3, 2, 1, go.
Looks like Tyler's having a little trouble with his parallel parking. And Pastor Danny. He's a former police officer, so he should do really well. Can he parallel park, though? Hey, we're going to go back to the studio, and we'll actually tell you who won. You might be surprised. Was it one of those? Which one do you think it was?
Y'all already know.
Pastor Matt?
Y'all already know.
Pastor Danny? Pastor Tyler?
Y'all already know.
We'll see you in a minute. All right. Do we have their audio?
We just may. Let's see
All right,
here.
let's pull them back up and see if we have their audio. Don't forget, while we do that, the contest is on. Invite somebody. Tell the person you invite to tell us who invited them, and you could win.
All right. I think we do if one of them talks.
All right.
Hey,
Oh,
can you hear us?
Can y'all hear everybody?
Yep.
All right. So we do have you live. So before we announce the winner, let me ask you this, Pastor Danny. What'd you think about the course? Was it just too easy, or was it difficult?
It was pretty simple. It wasn't really intense at all.
Pastor Matt, going into it, did you think you were going to win?
100%.
Have you ever done anything that you didn't think you were going to win?
Lots, but this one was.
And let me ask you again there, Pastor Tyler, do you consider yourself a good driver?
Well, you're the one that taught me, so you tell me.
Got him.
All right. All right. Let me give you these gentlemen's time without penalty. All right. So this is not counting penalties, cones that they hit, people they ran over, those kind of things. All right. Pastor Tyler got 46.22 seconds. 46, less than a minute. All right. Pastor Matt got 45 seconds, 0.82. 45 seconds. So he was past Pastor Matt. You were quicker than Slowpoke Tyler.
And he's got the tickets to show for it. Yeah.
He doesn't have tickets. All right. The studio audience has a lot of opinions about your driving, Pastor Matt.
The folks that have better faith in me.
You want me to show the audience just so you can see exactly
I
who
would
they
love
are?
to see their faces. I want to see who they are.
And Pastor Danny came in at 49 seconds, 0.65.
Oh, taking his time.
Yeah.
Now, if we add penalties, do you guys know who won?
I have no idea.
Do the rest of y'all know who won?
either.
All right. I'm going to see. I'll let you know what the studio audience says. So I gave you their times without penalties. Let me give them to you again. Tyler at 46.22, Pastor Matt 45.82, and Pastor Danny, the slowest, at 49.65. All right. So without penalties, you have Pastor Matt in first, then Pastor Tyler, and then Pastor Danny. How many of you believe that it stayed that way? Pastor Matt won. All right, so we have one vote for Pastor Matt. How many of you believe Pastor Tyler won? I think.
Ooh, and no love out
Hold
there.
on,
That
hold
wasn't
on.
Tyler.
Did you? I think Bailey voted for him.
She did. She said his best quality while driving is actually his directional ability.
His ability
Being able to talk and drive at the same time.
at the
Exactly.
same time. How many of you think Pastor Danny won? Okay, Pastor Danny got a few votes, 2 or 3 votes here. Well, let me tell you, Tyler had 1 cone, so that means he came in at 101.22. 101.22. Pastor Matt had 1 cone. He came in at 1 minute, 0.82. And Pastor Danny didn't hit a cone at all.
Oh, so the winner is Pastor Danny Fernandez.
So coming in the slowest, but with the greatest technical ability.
Yeah, he had time to drop off Uber Eats.
Pastor Danny, you have anything you'd like to say about your victory?
Now that I've won, I'm going to Disney World.
All right. Woo, doggies. What
There's a lot-
does our winner get?
Our winner gets Pride.
Yeah.
Also, Marlene just subscribed. Thank you so much, Marlene. We
you,
appreciate
Marlene.
it.
Thank you,
That's
Marlene.
right. You inspired Marlene to subscribe, Pastor Danny.
You see that? Win-win.
That's appreciate that. Let's give it up one more time for our pastors in the parking lot. All right, guys. Hey, don't forget, we're going to give these away in just a few seconds. I want to remind you of a couple of things. Our podcast is every Thursday at 8 o'clock. We talk to really interesting people. You know, my heart's desire is that we build a community. You know, life can get lonely no matter how many people are around you. And sometimes it's good to be able to have a place and connect with folks. And we can learn from everybody. I mean, it makes it hard. You know, when you think about trying to build an audience, you want to talk about a certain subject because there are audiences for fishing. I saw a YouTuber on the way here who was shooting with a crossbow the lizards that we have here in South Florida, and there are YouTube channels and audiences for everything. But we really talk about life. We talk about how to reach our potential, and we talk about it from people in all different walks of life. We talk about from mothers, we talk ministers, we talk professional athletes, we talk to bakers and architects, apologists, and I want to talk to a professional wrestler. And one of these days,
When you say wrestler, you mean like WWE wrestling?
like a wrestler,
Oh,
not a wrestler. Yeah, I misspoke. A wrestler.
I like it.
WWE, like.
Yeah.
He's my favorite.
He knows so many.
The Rock, Dwayne
Rock.
Johnson.
There we go.
So I did meet him one time. But anyways, we want to talk to them. It's every Thursday at 8 a.m. We'd love for you to come and check it out and be a part of that. And then on Sunday, we have the broadcast, like I said, at 11:30. We always start it with a live chat. So if you got some questions, go ahead and bring those. And then we do this every Sunday night and basically take about 30, 45 minutes, maybe 50. Well, we started late. And have some fun, wind down as we get ready to go into the week. Before I choose our winner, I wanted to share something that I thought was interesting, and I'm contemplating as we get ready for Easter, especially. Two things that kind of came to my mind when I was talking with Dr. Sean McDowell. I asked him a couple of questions, and I was surprised by one of his answers. And one of those was about criticism. You know, he has a large platform. He's an apologist. He answers difficult questions that people have about subjects that we all deal with, especially in this, the world in which we live. And I asked him about criticism, and he talked about how it's a challenge. He mentioned that sometimes he even wrestled with, is it worth it? And I thought, you know, we all deal with criticism in one way or another. And it seems that social media allows us to interact with each other, but it also gives so many people that we do not know opportunities to speak negatively into our lives. I watched a podcast last week I remember if it was on Rumble or YouTube, but it was between Tucker Carlson and the guy that used to be on CNN, the governor's brother, Cuomo, I think, or Cuomo, I guess that's how you say his name, Chris Cuomo. But anyways, they were talking, right? And they, opposite ends politically of one another, completely different views. And it was interesting. They got to talking about criticism on social media. And Chris Cuomo talked about how, it impacted him and how, what people thought had an impact with what he did. And Tucker said he didn't even listen to it. He didn't even watch it. He didn't even deal with it. And so I know no matter who you are, you've been criticized in your life for certain things, and you have to figure out how you're going to deal with that. Are you going to hear that in your head for the rest of your life every time you get ready to do whatever you was criticized? As a basketball player, lots of times parents get real involved or coaches are really demanding. And you can tell when somebody's playing if the coach or the parent's in their head. They play tentative, right? Because they don't want to hear that they messed up or they don't want to get taken out of the game. And so they tend to play tentative. You can see our little grandson, he's 5, he's playing baseball. And even at that age, you can see that some of those kids are hearing their, not just their parents in the moment telling them what to do, but you can tell they're hearing them in their head, right? Because we all have a tendency to overreact to criticism. And then all of a sudden, we're not doing what we feel called to do, or we're not doing even what we might be gifted to do. Instead, we're doing or responding to the voice we hear in our head as opposed to the situation that's right there in front of us. And so I think it's important to really give some thought and prayer to how are you going to deal? Who are you going to listen to? And how are you going to respond? You know, our goal is to build community, right? My prayer is as we continue to be consistent, because that's the only way in which you build an audience on social media, is you just have to be consistent until people find you and then they share with other people and that kind of thing. But the bigger the audience gets, the more criticism there is. And anytime you step out to do something, I remember as a high school basketball player, right, when we had a good team, there was a lot more criticism, even in the paper. And then my brothers joined me. At one time on our team in the state tournament, there's only 5 on the floor at a time, and 3 of us were brothers. I was the oldest, and my young middle brother was the point guard, and then my other brother's about the same size as me. And so lots of people, rightly so, had lots of opinion if we were going to take up 3/5 of the people on the court, whether we ought to be out of there, our mistakes, all those different kinds of things. And so I remember even at a young age having to deal with that. Then Steph and I started a church, and we started it different from the other churches in the community. And I think the hardest criticism to deal with is the criticism that speaks either into your insecurity, the things you're most worried about, or speaks against what you're trying to do. It's like if you're trying to be a humble person and somebody calls you prideful, or you're trying to speak well and somebody says you're mispronouncing the words. All those kind of things tend to, again, really get our attention. And we all tend statistically to focus on the negative more than we do the positive. And so I just wanted to share that, because I know that often we can find ourselves living our lives according to our critics. And if you have something big to accomplish, which I believe you do, there's always going to be folks who criticize that. And there's sometimes going to be big voices. I remember early on here at Potential Church, we had several higher, more influential, I guess is the word that I would say, folks in ministry criticize the way we were doing ministry at the time. The whole reason Steph and I ended up here is because I went to a meeting in Little Rock, and all the pastors there didn't like the way that we were going to do church. So they actually decided not to start the church we were going to start. And that's how we ended up here. And those things can derail what God wants to do in your life. And I don't know if there's a way that you can keep them from impacting you emotionally. I think that's where we try to go. And if you got a question or a comment about this, just leave it in the chats, because I know you guys have a lot of wisdom about this, because we all deal with this. Sometimes our worst critics live in the same house that we do. Maybe you said "I do" to that person and they turned into your critic, or maybe it's a parent, or maybe it's even one of your sons or daughters. But we all kind of have to figure out how we're gonna wrestle with this and deal with it emotionally. I think you got to start there, because I've heard a million times, I just don't worry about it. I just push it to the side. And there are probably a few people in this world that are able to do that, but most people aren't. No matter how much success they have, it's difficult to deal with criticism, especially unfair criticism or just critical comments or negativity. And so if you deny it, then you're not going to be prepared to deal with it, right? You're surprised by it. You're not ready. You haven't thought through it. And then all of a sudden you've got this emotional, and then it causes you to do things that are just ineffective. It gets you off track from what you're really called to do. So I just really want to encourage you to not spend a bunch of time thinking about negativity or the critics in your life. Jesus even said, hey, you know what? They criticized me. They persecuted me. They're going to come after you as well. But think about, how can you emotionally deal with that? What do you need to do? Do you need to talk it through? I like to talk, so I like to talk it through. Do you need to have certain prayers that you pray? Do you certain scriptures that you memorize? Certain things that you do? But it's important to acknowledge, first of all, that it's going to come. It's going to affect everybody differently. But however it's going to affect you emotionally, know how you're going to deal with it. Then practically think through how you're going to deal with it. Because if you don't deal with it effectively, if I don't deal with it effectively, then I'm going to close my ears. And now the Bible says that the wisdom writer talks about how there is great wisdom in people speaking into your life. Talks about iron sharpening iron, right? That's two hard surfaces coming against one another. Well, the benefits of other people speaking into your life can't be accomplished if you close your ears or you close your heart. And if you don't think through criticism, that's exactly what will happen. And then you make a horrible mistake. It's kind of like, you run into the people's car who are fixing your bathroom because you don't hear the people who are yelling at you or say, stop, stop. Or you've shut them out for so long that they don't even say anything. And that can be, incredibly, incredibly destructive. How about you guys? How do y'all deal with criticism? I mean, I know you, I'll just leave it there. How do y'all deal with criticism?
That's a good question. I think that for me, one of the biggest things when it comes to criticism is understanding, for me to get where I want to be, sometimes people are going to think less of me. And I have to hear that regardless. I think sometimes we can make criticism. I won't hear it unless it's said in the way that I'd like to receive it. And for me, my goal is kind of whether they say it in a way that is comforting and encouraging or a way that maybe isn't. It's kind of my responsibility to take that home and deal with it. To try and discern whether there's some truth in there or not. And that person very well may think less of me. They may think I'm not as good or I'm not qualified, whatever. But as long as I take that criticism, I'll eventually get to the place where I desire to be. But really trying to hone in on not expecting it to always come like the way I want to hear it. Sometimes it's not going to be delivered that way, but it's still my responsibility to apply it if it needs to be applied.
Yeah, that's good.
Go ahead.
Well, for me, well, in the past, so I had a YouTube channel a couple years back, and I remember one of the first hate comments I got was someone trashing me on like how I was like expressing myself. So like I was kind of being like a little more extra in that video, and they were like trashing me about how I was acting. And I deleted the comment, and I regret it ever since, because for me, it told myself, it told myself by me deleting the comment that obviously it affected me, right? I didn't like what they said, therefore I'm going to delete it. I'm never going to see it again. But I want to see those things, right? I want to see the hate. If I want to see the love, I also want to see the hate that people have for me. So therefore, I want to make sure that I'm seeing both sides, right? I'm, like Pastor Carson said, evaluating both sides, and then whether or not it's something that I feel like God is telling me, hey, you know what? I put this person to criticize you for a reason. Then me take that, and obviously me feel like it was something that God brought. But I always regret me deleting that comment, because it showed that clearly it affected
that it got to you. The bigger opportunity that God gives you, the more you're going to get.
Yeah.
So, you have to think about, because if one of the things that I try to do is to have people in my life who can listen to it for me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That way they can translate it into a way that's helpful to me. Because I will, when I look back, and I also know too, there are times in my life when I'm more emotionally ready to handle it.
Yeah.
When our team was winning, I didn't really care what anybody had to say as far as it getting me down. It could help me get better, but I had real confidence. You start losing a few games, and as a pastor, when the church is growing, it's like, what do you think? You think that's good? You don't think, oh, okay, that's fine. If the church is not growing, we're not reaching people for Christ, it's like, well, do I need to put on a suit? Do I need to change who I am? And so I found it really helpful to have people into my life that I trust that will tell me the truth, to kind of help me with that so that I'm not emotionally beat up as a result of what people speak into my life. And I think that allows you to get a bigger platform, because you can, that way, then you have actually more people speaking into your life, as opposed to ignoring them.
Yeah. And some things hurt more.
That's true.
Certain things that you do that put yourself out there more in front of people. When you're talking about public speaking, or maybe it's art that someone does, those things are so personal. So when someone, criticizes that, it can also often sound more hurtful than they intended for it to be.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, we can make it personal very quick. Leslie says, I've learned that much of the work is in reframing criticism. If you can identify a way that the area you are being criticized for about is an area you need to grow, and consider it an opportunity. And that's true as well, is the ability to, be confident enough that you can hear somebody trying to help you. And even if they're not trying to help you, to reframe it in such a way that it helps you get better. Because the truth is, we're all screwed up.
Amen.
And so we need people in our lives that'll tell us that'll tell us when we're screwed up and when we messed up. And I think that's an important part of growing. And we all love to help those who are willing to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's because, when you think about criticism, you think about it in a negative way, but it can also be a real, positive thing. It's feedback. And I've found that, like with the teaching, one of the things, and then we'll draw for our winners here, but is to invite people in after the teaching to give feedback about the teaching. And I can tell you, I've worked at least a while on that teaching, so it's like my baby. And and when people talk, I have to make myself be quiet.
Yeah.
To not, because my first response is to want to defend it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I have to be quiet so I can hear what they're saying. And then after giving it some time, and sometimes it's not till the next day, I may have to think about it all night long to determine whether or not what they said will help me accomplish what I was trying to accomplish. But my first response is that fight or flight. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you just don't know.
Absolutely. Well, especially when it's something you worked really hard on.
Yeah.
It's one thing when you're in a debrief situation and it's something that you never really thought too much about. But when it is something that you're like, oh, that was a moment I put together, a joke that you really, or a story that you put together, and all of a sudden, that group is like, hey, that wasn't funny, or that story didn't make sense. And it's like, ooh, I worked hard on that. You know what I mean? It definitely can strike a nerve.
That's right. That's right. Do we have any other comments we want to read before we draw for this? I want to appreciate everybody's comments, and our goal is to interact on the chat as well with each other, not only with me but with one another. Is that catalyst? Once I realized I am somebody to God, I don't need to be somebody to anyone else. Doesn't mean I don't need to be a jerk, though. Yeah. And, that's the hard thing about confidence. Being confident in who God's created you to be, but not being a jerk, all right, or an idiot to those around us. That's a good thought. Sharon says, Pastor Leslie with the wise words always. I missed the Pastor Leslie. I thought she was saying wise words always. So I wanted to point that out, Leslie. Wise words always, right? All right. Are we ready?
That we are.
Oh, who do we have helping us out today?
The Swifty.
The Swifty.
Swifty himself.
You know, do you take Carson's comments as criticism?
Absolutely not. He's amazing and he loves me.
We didn't get to this. Maybe we'll talk about it in the future sometime. Stay with me. Is how men and women joke with one another differently.
Ah, yes.
I was very curious about where you're going
Well,
with
no,
that.
don't. Do you? Well, come here. Come here so you can be heard. Do you joke with other guys differently than you joke with your wife?
Oh, absolutely. I know my wife can hurt me.
I think there's a difference in. We're done. We're done, Pastor Nick. I just wanted to. I don't want to
Just throw us for a loop real quick.
I don't want to go down that road. I don't want to go down that road. I don't want to go down that road too far. But we'll talk about it next time. We talk about men and women and love and marriage and daughters. I will say this. I promise I'm going to shut up. I didn't get to teach this weekend, so I got a lot to say.
Yeah.
The dealing with you and your sister is totally different. When you all were growing up.
I can only imagine.
Oh, how so?
Well, you're trying to get me in trouble, aren't you? No.
Carson's better.
Ladies tend to be more feelings, right? Like you, I have to say, like if it's time to go to bed, and Carson didn't want to go to bed, it'd be like, you get in there and go to bed. You know, I'd have to get.
Well, I like her.
Did I scare you?
No.
Brought back some PTSD.
Now Bailey, on the other hand, is very independent, but she's more emotional. So I had to, if I responded too big, it impacted her.
Right. You had
too
to say,
much.
like, Bailey, I really would appreciate if you would get in there and go to bed.
Yes.
Just like that.
Princess. Princess. You always have to say princess.
That's good.
That's good. I'm sweating. I got to get out of this. Let's draw.
I think we have a drum roll for this, do we not?
That
Yes.
we
Oh.
do.
All right. Here is the winner.
Gabby invited Karen Cohen.
All right. Karen and Gabby.
K-Ron.
These are autograph books by Dr. Sean McDowell, an excellent apologist, a good man, and we will get these to you this week and hope you can enjoy them or share them with somebody. I want to thank you guys for tuning in, and don't forget, if you haven't, subscribe and share. Click that little bell or whatever it is on Rumble so that we can so that when we go live, because we're going to go live on some locations in the future, you'll know it and you'll get to be a part of it. We'll see you on Thursday at the podcast. God bless. Have a great week. It's going to be good. I promise. It's going to be really, really good. Your week. Tell us about it next week. We'll see you then.